Hey, what's up guys? Everything Apple Pro here. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Let's cover the last week of Apple in Apple news and leaks. So of course, Tim Apple happened this week, and that was probably the funniest thing I saw all week.
We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. But
thank you, Donald Trump, and thank you, Tim Cook, for being a good sport and responding to it and changing your Twitter name accordingly. So I thought that was pretty funny. Lots of fake Apple leaks this week. AirPods 2, this PR firm, for whatever reason, thought it was a good idea to put out AirPods 2 fake videos, and it got a lot of people excited that the release date was coming very soon. That turned out to be not true. I don't know why someone would go through the effort of trying to fake something like that, but I guess it's just the nature of working online. It happens. I could have even picked up on some of these leaks. There was also an iPod Touch 7 glyph that was apparently found in an iOS beta by an iOS developer. That turned out to be not true. Developer Rambo came and cleared that up real quick. It's good to have someone, reliable like that to dismiss things like this. Even Max Weinbach was affected. He says that he believes he received a fake iPod Touch 7 leak regarding the fact that it's getting Face ID, a low budget version of Face ID on the iPod Touch 7, and that it will have gestures, of course, because it won't have a home button. He says he's very unsure about this leak, but I just wanted to throw that in there anyways. Something I wanted to clear up is the waterproof screen feature we talked about earlier, where the iPhone screen will work under direct water if it's raining or even underwater. That's not an iPhone 11 feature. That's an iPhone 11s or beyond feature. Max Weinbach just wanted to clarify that. And same thing for the haptics. So that's all wrapped into one. Apple is working on that tech, but that's for a future iPhone. All right, time to talk augmented reality. I didn't mention this on the channel for whatever reason, but this is a huge project that Apple is working on. They've been working on this at least since 2015 that we know of, and finally, at the end of this year, Apple's AR headset is going into production, at the earliest. At the latest, mid-2020. So they actually go into detail about this device. Before we get into that, I just wanted to mention our concept. So we cooked this up really quick. We're gonna be refining it as we hear more and more rumors. The reason we wanted to make this design that goes over your head and not some sort of glasses is because Google Glass failed. In my opinion, people just aren't ready to walk around with cameras on the front of their face everywhere at all times, breaching your privacy. So if Apple were to release this, in my opinion, it would be a dedicated experience. You'd put it on, you'd have a good time playing your games or whatever you'd use it for, and you'd move on along with your life. You wouldn't have to carry around these cameras everywhere like Google Glass. So that's kind of where our design is coming from here. Obviously, we don't know, we don't have any leaks, no indication of what the design could look like, so this is all just guesswork. And this is all coming from Ming-Chi Kuo. So he released a report on the Apple AR headset, and he says that at least for the first generation, Apple will rely heavily on the iPhone for the processing side. And this honestly makes a lot of sense. Why has Apple been making their iPhones so extremely powerful? Why do they have this processor that we never take advantage of? And it's very likely that they're gonna tie this all in with their AR headset or VR headset, whatever it's gonna be. He says the pairing will work a lot like it does right now with the Apple Watch, where the majority of the processing, the graphical processing, will be done on the iPhone. He doesn't know how it's gonna affect the battery life or anything like that, but it's very likely on the unit itself, it'll just be battery storage, and the cameras and the hardware stuff, it'll all be on the iPhone. He also mentions that AR for Apple has to be a big hit. Apple's betting a lot on this. They've been doing research for close to 5 years now. Like, Apple has a lot riding on this AR headset, whatever it's gonna be. So the future of the iPhone will be definitely intertwined with AR, VR capabilities. The triple lens probably will have something to do with that. Apple is investing heavily in this. And you're gonna see that reciprocated everywhere across their product lineup. He says that with production ramping up at the end of this year, it's very likely 2020 Apple will make a formal entrance into the world of AR or VR headsets. Okay, and we have some Apple Watch leaks. Bloomberg is reporting that future versions of the Apple Watch, be it the Apple Watch Series 5 or 6, will include sleep monitoring features. So Apple purchased Beta in 2017, and they've been working on that tracking feature ever since. Apparently, employees are actually taking home Apple Watches with this feature embedded, using it and reporting back to Apple. Apple's working on that feature. It's been available on competitors for years already, Fitbit, for example. So it's not very surprising that Apple's working on that feature. It's only surprising that it took them so long to do it, but obviously in the Apple fashion, it's gonna be even better than anything that the competitors have. It only makes sense too, because Apple's venturing into the world of health monitoring, tracking, and sleep is very important. You'd want to know basically the quality of your sleep, REM sleep, when you enter that state of very heavy sleep, the one that actually matters. So you're going to get this whole insight into a part of your life that usually you'd never track. The only concern, and possibly an indicator of a future feature, could be the battery life. Like, the biggest concern here is you're going to be wearing your Apple Watch while you're sleeping. It's not going to be charging. So the battery life has to be good to substantiate that difference there. Either you're going to be waking up in the morning and immediately putting your device on charge, which honestly sucks, or the battery life could actually be getting better where it could last a day, 2 days solid. Like right now, mine lasts 2 days pretty decently. With sleep tracking, I don't see that working. Like it's definitely gonna drop to 1 day for sure. Here's a nice watchOS 6 concept from Matt Birchler. This guy makes one traditionally every year, and this one is no different. It looks pretty cool. He's taken watchOS 5 and adjusted some of the faces and stuff, but of course what he wants is new watch faces. He wants an always on display on the Apple Watch, which I think it needs that very drastically. I want to be able to see the time without having to flip over my Apple Watch. Like, it's an OLED display, it only makes sense. But again, the question relies on battery life. Will the battery life be good enough for Apple to support new features like that? I definitely hope they do work on that for the Series 5 or 6 or whatever. Here's something very interesting. So Gizmodo UK made an article regarding the whole mining fiasco. Apple wants to stop mining the earth. They want to be using resources that are recycled, old iPhones. They basically want to eliminate any reliance on the earth. And I think that's a very noble cause, but Gizmodo is reporting there's a lot of hurdles Apple has to jump through for that to actually happen realistically. And it's been a while since we've heard anything on that. And one of those points is that the overall upgrade cycle of iPhones has to change. Apple has to be pushing aggressively to recover old phones. If they're not mining any new materials, they need more and more recycled phones. So the way you buy an iPhone may change drastically within the next few years. You may have to trade in your iPhone in order to get the best possible deal on the new one. Apple's certainly going to be pushing towards more trade-in type features and deals. And I certainly think existing models for iPhone upgrades and stuff will change in the next few years as Apple approaches their no mining goal. Okay, and this is pretty bad. So Benjamin Mayo over from 9to5Mac, he received a tip that there is this weird stutter issue on iPhones, and I'm able to confirm it is 100% true. So if you sit on the home screen or in an app view for about 10 seconds on your iPhone, and then you hit an app, you're gonna get a slight stutter before the iPhone responds. So we're gonna sit for about 10 seconds on this screen here. All right, we're going. 1, 2. So did you see that? It definitely is there. There's a slight stutter. Benjamin Mayo put my paranoia that something was off into an article. Check it out, guys. So it's definitely true, and I hope that Apple fixes this. Max Weinbach is saying that Apple will be sending out their invites for the March event any day this coming week, so stay tuned for that. We'll have a little update on that. March 29th is the supposed event, and this will be a non-hardware related event, supposedly. Apple could do some hardware refreshes with the iPads, but that'll be separate from the event. It'll just be on the website. And Mac is reporting that the 7th generation iPad, this is the $329 budget and iPad, is indeed getting a refresh. We heard that the screen might be getting a little bit bigger, but Mac is saying most of the hardware is not changing at all. It's just going to be an internal refresh, and we're going to see it here fairly soon. All right, in other news, Ming-Chi Kuo reported on the Galaxy S10. I thought this was very important to mention, and that the S10's biggest strength in the market, why it's going to sell so well, and he raised his estimates from 30 to 35 million units sold to 40 to 45 in this year. And basically he's saying that's because of 3 reasons. Number 1 is feature differentiation. This thing has 3 key features that the iPhone doesn't, that's gonna make this thing sell like a king. And that's 1, the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, 2, the triple lens camera, and 3 is the reverse wireless power share feature. That's definitely a cool one, especially for the younger crowd. And I definitely see the numbers rising with this one. This is a solid phone. Like, that's without a doubt. The technological advancements in this phone will sell it alone. Now, Bank My Cell has a yearly report on the resale value of phones. This year they're saying that the Samsungs suffered the worst, and that's no surprise, but it's terribly bad this year. So the iPhone X, for example, when it was launched, $999. 9 months later, it was worth $690. That's a really good value. So you may be paying more with the iPhone, but at the end of the day, the resale value makes up for that. So when it's time to sell, you're recouping more of your money, whereas they say the Samsung Galaxy S9, which released for $720, was worth just $290 9 months later. That is actually very embarrassingly bad. Is there a particular reason that Samsungs have a lower resale value? In my opinion, I think one of the contributing factors is the very low refresh rate for over-the-air updates. Features just don't come out later. You get all the features now, but the software updates don't always happen. So I feel like that keeps people shying away from these phones. There's a very high turnover rate to get the newer features on the newer one. Apple has support for older iPhones. phones. That's why we're seeing this very steady resale value. Also, something I'd like to mention is USB 4.0. As if things couldn't get even more confusing, we heard about USB 3.2 times 2 the other day. Now we have a new standard from the same committee, and this is basically Thunderbolt 3, but for the rest of the masses. It has a 40 gigabyte transfer speed, it's reverse compatible, but it's now called just USB 4 with no space in between, just USB 4. No, you have to say it really fast too. But just thought I'd mention that USB 4 is coming probably later this year or early 2020 at the latest. And I saved the craziest for last. This is coming from Motherboard, a subsidiary of The Verge. They're reporting on how all these crazy exploits, the zero-day exploits being sold for millions and millions of dollars, are being found. And that's because prototypes that are between final stage and EVT stage are being smuggled out of the factories at Pegatron, Foxconn, and sold to these hackers. And these phones basically don't have pre-installed securities that the release phones do. So they're able to reverse engineer the security of the iPhone in a nutshell, get these exploits much easier than if they were to use just a regular consumer phone. There is a difference. These guys are doing it with special tools, and I found that very fascinating. Check out the article down below. Otherwise, guys, just want to do a little update on what's going on in my life. So for me, it's summertime. Summertime means toys. I'm like really big on cars. I have a lot of people asking me to start a car channel. I don't know, maybe I will. But I'm doing a lot. Like I just got a manual swap done on my E46. Got to fly out to pick that one up. Facelift on the R8, a lot of headlights hacking. And this is going to be happening on my Tesla, on the Audi, on the BMW too. I actually linked up with a company locally here that does it. It is so cool what they do. Like literally bypassing all security measures. You can do anything you want with the headlights. Change the startup sequence, you know, animate the LEDs to whatever you want. So I'm going to do some very subtle but OEM looking stuff I'll share with you on this channel. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. That's the latest on Apple. Hopefully this coming week will be more exciting as the event should be finally announced. Peace.